We are back in the left coast cave. Got a doozy for you today. It is 9:35 in the PM in Pacific. This is Left Coast Caveman Mentality. Season 3. Episode 4. My attempt to get all jazzed up here is an effort to get through the many pages of exciting notes I have to share with you today. But first, a word from our sponsor. The calm tea is on deck. But tonight's episode brought to you by Kashi. Kashi, go. No one's stopping you, not carbohydrates, not gluten. You can go have 3 bowls before bed. And don't feel the least bit bad about it. 12 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar. Primarily lentil protein. And chickpea protein and pea protein. A delectable combo straight from Earth. All 9 essential amino acids and pea protein. Go get you some. Go. Started a little late this evening at 9:50 p.m. I'm just returning from a road trip, which you will see in the background. Studio City, California and surrounding areas, in the heart of Los Angeles, California. And at 9:47 p.m., 9:50, and ambient music playing in the background and calm in my cup, I ask one simple question. One simple question is, are you asleep? Are you asleep back there? But there's a chance you mean that even the most minuscule of winged creatures can recognize this dance. And here I stand between something beautiful and majestic, left speechless, in awe. And taboo takes hold of your tongue, yielding the blandest of an utterance, like, I could be. Could be. Had not the universe been capable of such blessed, such wicked comedy. Could be that we already were. Could be a supernova in solitude known only in theory, without a constituent observer. Could be your vessel of exploration sees for the first time horizon through the telescope. You idle. You anchor. And these are my notes of the day on the topic at hand. This podcast explores the triune nature, body, mind, spirit, Trinity, these things that we delve into these topics. Our goal is modern hunting and gathering for supreme beings, so we source these esoteric topics, fitness modalities, nutritional modalities to increase your level of well-being. We come to you in the late evening hours, Pacific time. And so let me see if I can muster up to get through these notes on today's subject matter, which came to me as a remembrance of a particular feeling I once wrote about. And I couldn't quite remember the terms, but I finally stumbled upon it. Napoleon Hill. And I can't quite recall the title of the book. It is late and my mind is weary, but it's chapter 11 on the subject of sex transmutation. Sex transmutations. And this subject matter brings me back to the desert, the Far East upper deserts, the majestic skies of Arizona, where the hand of God can be seen painted in the skies, morning, midday, night.
Of your mind, something to help you waste the
China, try to steal your mind's elation. Little buzz from a sweet dream of silver screen quotations, and now it arrives not far away. It's Californication. It's the edge of the world and all of Western civilization. Sun may rise in the east of the east, settled in a final location. And it's understood that Hollywood sells Californication. Okay, so as I burp up Kashi, let's see just how far we can get. Chapter 11, Mystery of Sex Transmutation. He begins by defining first the primary functions of sex in society. 1, the perpetuation of mankind. 2, the maintenance of health. And 3, which is the topic of tonight, the transformation of mediocrity into genius. So how is this accomplished? Transmutation is the changing of the mind from thoughts of physical to thoughts of some other nature. Sexual desire is the most powerful of human desires. When driven by this desire, men develop keenness of imagination, courage, willpower, persistence, and creative ability unknown to them at other times. So first of all, if you haven't listened to anything on Season 3, which would be 31, 32, 33, Part 1 and 2, I would suggest a recapitulation in such subject matters. Freud, when we read 31, he discusses parental and child love, as a building block of society. But what I think this answers more deeply is why men aspire to work as the counterbalance of that. And we talked about aggression, male aggression, and pursuing his sexual objects. Primitive man, the origin of the family. Episode 31, we talk about aggression and love. Episode 32, we talk about worship via the body and care for your temple, and thus increasing your magnetism. A topic we'll discuss on episode 35 or 36. And in our last two-part episode 33, we discussed the origin of this creative energy, this feeling, inspiration, if you will, and reading Napoleon Hill was like popping the hood open of this source and or this primal behavior that is a building block essential to mankind, and studying the mechanics through which it works. So let us continue the notes. I will press forward in strength. It is 10:07. I try to keep these to 30 or 40 minutes. But forgive me if I blast through some esoteric material at a rapid pace. Sexual desire is the most powerful of human desires. Men either run the risk of life and reputation to indulge it, or they harness it and redirect it. The desire for sexual expression is inborn and natural. The desire cannot and should not be submerged or eliminated, but it should be given an outlet through forms of expression which enrich the body, mind, and spirit of man. If not, it will seek outlet through purely physical means. And I have in parentheses pornography. A multi-billion-dollar industry. I once heard a quote about it being more profitable or more revenue generating or just a gross sales number than all sporting combined. NBA, NFL. And if that's true, it's staggering. And as we'll learn in the notes, there are direct correlative lines that could be drawn to many ailments we see, from lack of leadership to ... we'll find out. Men who have achieved highest levels of achievement were motivated by the influence of a woman, as shown by the biography and history for over 2,000 years. Motivated by sex, men become equipped with a superpower for action. The opposite of this can be seen when destroying the sex glands of a human being or in animals. The first thing that goes is enthusiasm. And that is the precise reason why, is because these areas of the brain are triggered by vibrations, electrokinetic energy. I don't know if that's even a term, but definitely through vibrations, let's call it. And the mind vibrates with different frequencies in different areas, triggering different behaviors. And of these stimulants, we shall call them, there are several: love, money, success, music, friendship, a mastermind alliance, people of like mind that help you progress your life, autosuggestion, drugs, alcohol, fear, but chief among all of them, and what creates the most vibrant mental state of being, is sex. This level of vibration, and this is why, too, I've heard on other podcasts commenting on how artists like Edgar Allan Poe did his best work when under the influence. Well, this is precisely why. Because the higher vibration frequency of the mind, that is when the faculty of creative imagination kicks in. I would question this in the state of dreams. Maybe that's a topic we nuke for a future cast, but why do ideas come to us in dreams sometimes, or when we're most relaxed? Well, he goes on to explain this, that many inventors will block out sensory perceptions, and like sight and hearing, when they're attempting to solve difficult problems. We continue. The faculty of creative imagination form ideas and concepts. Ideas being at the root of any success, every success. There are 4 ways that this creative imagination gets these ideas: infinite intelligence, one's subconscious mind, from some other person's mind or from some other person's subconscious storehouse. Often this is referred to as a sixth sense, the still small voice. And if you listen to previous episode 3, it may have been in the abstract section where or in notes that mentioned it as the source of inspiration coming like a fleeting wind. Well, that sort of makes sense now. Ideas that come from the creative imagination are much more reliable than those that come from reasoning faculties of the mind, those that are shaped by experience. And I make notes of inventions are not reasonable. The other day I was telling my daughter that you have to be unreasonable and think different. Difference is good. Well, this is at the core of that. I think this is also at the core of why people shame other people's ideas. Not operating in the right frequency of mind, reasoning takes over. The faculties of the creative imagination. Or somebody says, you can't do that. Or the focus of monetization over authenticity. Undergoing a project with the idea in mind of making money, profit. It's reason. It interferes with the faculties of the creative imagination. Genius never comes from reason. In the book, they refer to this as the synthetic reason faculty, how we accumulate what we currently know about a situation, problem, or experience. So it's not that it's not valuable, it sets the table for you. It lets you know a fork is a fork. But then the mind stimulated properly, and as we've already noted, the most powerful vibration that the brain can undergo is sex energy. By concentrating on the known factors, the synthetic reasoning faculty, that is, and stimulating the mind in combination, creates a perfect picture of unknown factors. You can then hold this picture in your mind until it has been taken over by the subconscious mind. Then relax by clearing your mind of all thoughts and wait for answers. Now I realize there can be many different interpretations. This was an explanation of one man's invention, but would hold the same for prayer, meditation, these things where we detach. As we'll learn, your mind vibrating in the proper frequency can more accurately and I would say more accurately and more poignantly tap into the subconscious mind, and where the still small voice, or the voice of God, or the voice of infinite intelligence. It goes on to give many examples of famous men in history who have proposed to have used this tactic. Abraham Lincoln, he's the one example that refers to a mistress. The pages of history filled with influential women, Napoleon Bonaparte, First wife, here's the counterbalance to Abraham Lincoln. His first wife, Josephine, when he was married to her, he was invincible. Then he conducted, after money, fame, power got to him, his reasoning faculty prompted him to put Josephine aside, and his defeat at St. Helena shortly followed after. Which is interesting, how you could have both sides of the equation, but as we'll learn, it's a matter of intent, it's a matter of love, coupled with the sex energy. No satisfactory substitute for nature's stimuli has ever been found. Mentioned earlier, drugs, alcohol, other stimuli, as used by Edgar Allan Poe, they're ultimately destructive. Whereas sex stimuli, coupled with love and channeled appropriately, is always productive. Psychologists know a strong correlation between sex desires and spiritual urges, a fact that accounts for peculiar behavior, orgies, religious rituals, common of people who participate in primitive types. A sales teacher responsible for training over 30,000 students made the observation that highly sexed men are among the most efficient salespeople. The factor of personality, personal magnetism, otherwise known as sex energy. This can be used as an advantage. And on another episode 35 or 36, we will dive deeper into that one. But for now, we must move on throughout the text. And just say, successful people either consciously or unconsciously transmute the energy of sex into enthusiasm, sales enthusiasm. And we most definitely will have some casts on sales. Most do this without being the least aware of what they are doing and how they are doing it. Oh man, we must power through this. The entire subject of sex is one with which the majority of people appear to be unpardonably ignorant. The urge of sex has been grossly misunderstood, slandered, and burlesqued by the ignorant and evil-minded for so long that the very word sex is seldom used in polite society. The virtue of sex energy should not be construed as justification for the libertine. The emotion of sex is a virtue only when used intelligently and with discrimination. It may be misused, and often is, to such an extent that it debases instead of enriches both body and mind. Chew on that. 3 stars in the margin circled must mean good stuff is coming. Shortage of great leaders is due to this era of overindulgence. No man can avail himself the forces of his creative imagination while dissipating them. Man is the only creature on earth which violates nature's purpose in this connection. Every other animal indulges its sex nature in moderation and with purpose, which harmonizes with the laws of nature. Every other animal responds to the call of sex only in season. Man's inclination is to declare open season. Every intelligent person knows overstimulation and excess with respect to drugs and alcohol is detrimental to the body. Not everyone knows sex stimulation equally detrimental and destructive to creative effort. He makes an interesting comment about hypochondria, the imagination of illness, are grown out of habits formed in ignorance of the true function of sex. And while he did not unpack that one, anecdotally, I can tell you everything I've read up until this point is 100% accurate. Hence, the choice of song and being a creative person, as we all are, but being a person who has kept creativity at least in my Rolodex of at one point daily, and then at one point every other day, and at one point monthly, and now back to at least weekly repertoire. Creativity has always been a part of me. So I can tell you these words resonate particularly strong with my experiences. Goes on to talk about men aged 40 to 60. These are at the bandwidth of men's greatest creative effort. Even Napoleon Hill, Henry Ford, Carnegie, these people we're drawing this information from didn't become successful until after age 40, between the ages of 40 and 60. Between the ages of 30 and 40, men discover sex transmutation. Either they recognize or choose another path. This is because nature begins to harmonize love and sex in individuals, so that they may draw upon these great forces and apply them jointly. Sex alone is a mighty urge to action, but its forces are like a cyclone. They are often uncontrollable. When the emotion of love begins to mix itself with the emotion of sex, the result is calmness of purpose, poise, accuracy of judgment, and balance, constructive action. When a man's desire to please a woman is driven by sex alone, he may lie, cheat, steal, commit murder. But when the emotion of love is mixed with sex, that same man will guide his actions with sanity, balance, and reason. Love and sex softens an individual, modifies and beautifies their facial expression. Love brings out the artistic and aesthetic nature of man. Love endures. It leaves its impress upon your soul, even after the stimuli has long passed through time and circumstance. Memories of love never pass. They linger, continuing to guide and influence after stimulation has faded. That is, if you are appropriately transmuting your sexual energy. Every person Loved by someone, loved by genuine love. Every person moved by genuine love knows it leaves enduring traces upon the human heart. This is because love is spiritual in nature. Bathe your mind in the memories of past love. Instigate extreme willpower to control this energy. Control the persistence of habit. Control the urge to respond in a physical manner. Encourage all positive emotions of the mind. Discourage all others. Envy, jealousy, malice, and slander. Just to make a point of clarification, I'm not making a case for virginity. I'm making a case for the exercise of self-control, extreme willpower. For some of you, that means quitting pornography today. Never look at it again. It's not that hard. Once tapped into the other side, I recommend controlling your impulses, even with your lover. In season. In season means not forced, not mustered up. If it doesn't come naturally between two individuals, it's not to be. And I'm going to wrap this because this will then dovetail into another topic for 35 or 36 entitled just this, I haven't entitled it yet. I was going to say marriage. But I don't want it to be that exclusive. However, I think many people enter these relationships, marriage particularly, without this information, much to the detriment of the soul, maybe, but I don't know. What are the implications of society? Is it by design? As Freud pointed out in episode 3.1, that this exercising of control in some extreme manners keeps society safe at the cost of happiness. Who knows? But you can comment if you made it this far. This mirage. Fooling droves. A flowering cactus in the vast desert landscape. A baptismal plunge evaporating from my skin. This event horizon swallows matter to existence unknown. Resurrecting euphoria. What is your choice? this grand opening ceremonial, a shearing, lavender and crimson. Hope you enjoyed that episode. This is the Left Coast Caveman Mentality, Season 3, Episode 4. This cast is triune in nature, meaning, we attempt to bring you fitness modalities, nutritional modalities, mentalities, body, mind, spirit. Our act of gathering and hunting is for your supreme being. Hopefully you stumble upon something here that changes your life. I know it's changed mine. Until next time, folks, toodaloo.